Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professionals, officials, listener learners. I welcome all respected doctors and directors. I welcome honorable advocates, advisors, administrative advisors. I welcome honorable ministers and managers. I welcome the most honorable President Modi. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section today that we are describing, explaining, defining our holy Indian cultural identities in the form of Indian diversity. In this changing scenario, we see, we observe different changes in nation. Nation is the common concept of our holy spiritual function, festivals, all religions respect, thank, welcome this nation. Nature nurtures us like a mother. Nature treats us like a doctor. Nature teaches us like a teacher. Nature plays multidimensional, multi-sided, multifaceted roles in our life. This nature never defeat, deceive, cheat us. It is written in all of holy scriptures. William Wordsworth, who is known as the nation poet, he addressed 20 people while addressing to her sister. He says that these worldly people may deceive, beat, cheat, betray us. But this nation is always friendly and familiar with us. So all religions, spiritual fathers, spiritual starters, beginners, creators, generators, operators, those who came in India and born in India, they addressed oneness, equality, and unity in our nation. This is a national fundamental principle that is being followed by all worldly people, and it is said that humanity is our religion. Humanity is our caste. What's the meaning of humanity? To share our sorrows, joys, food, clothing, shelter with the needy, downtrodden, rejected people of our society. It's the meaning of humanity. So under this principle, Many institutions are following this principle for the peace of mind, tranquility of our heart. It is very necessary, but some of the people follow this principle purely selflessly. Otherwise, in this materialistic world, everyone runs after collecting materialistic goods, destroyable things that are temporary, but something is permanent in our life that is said by our spiritual starters, presence of the Lord our God, who He is, who He was, and who He will. He was in past, He is in future, and He will remain forever. It is said in our all body spiritual teachings what is happening around the world. Let us go through for addressing the message of natural changes. Passport, deposit as bail, clause, needs proof of flight risk rules. High Court from Chandigarh, Punjab and Haryana High Court has ruled that the authority vested in a criminal court to impose the condition of deposit of passport ought not to be exercised in a road or automatic manner, and such bail conditions must not unduly curtail personal liberty. High Court was of the view that the condition for depositing one's passport must be supported by specific material that points to a genuine flight risk. It must be acknowledged that passport is not merely a travel document, but is often used as proof of nationality and identity. An order, an order of deposit of passport as a precondition for bail is justifiable only on the basis of objective factors indicating a clear and imminent threat to the administration of justice and must not be employed as a punitive measure against an under trial accused who is presumed innocent until proven guilty. The bench of Justice Sumit Goyal held while deciding a criminal revision petition filed by Ram Lubhaya and others who challenged a November 22, 2019 order of the Additional Sessions Judge Jalindra. High Court was also of the view that it is not desirable to lay down any straitjacket formulation in this regard. To be so would be to crystallize into a rigid definition, an initial designation which even the legitimate has, for the best of all reasons, left undetermined. Doctor assault patient lying on bed in IGMC suspended FIR filed from Shimla. Supreme Court admits plea against under Twitter rule to define anomalies. from Gurgaon. Supreme Court has admitted a plea by a retired Haryana Forest Department official challenging a Union Environment Ministry committee's recommendation to identify Aravallis as hills that have an elevation of 100 meters or more for the purpose of mining. The recommendation acquired a much bigger dimension on November 20 when the court adopted it as a uniform definition to be applied to the hills in the context of fishing. India seals state pact with New Zealand third key FTA this year from New Zealand. India and New Zealand Monday said they have concluded talks on a free trade deal that will give India tariff-free access to the island nation's markets, bring in $20 billion of investment over the next 15 years, and help double bilateral trade in the next 5 years. The third free trade agreement this year, following a similar pact with the UK in July and another with Oman earlier this month, will give India more temporary employment visas, easier access to pharmaceuticals and medical devices. Over 23K police posts vacant in Haryana House told Haryana Police Department is facing a shortage of 23,189 crores of various ranks ranging from constable to VSP and 2,442 clerical staff. The Haryana Assembly was sold on Monday, reports Bangladesh Channel. The information was shared in response to query by a UNLD MLA Arjun Chitala during the question hour on the last day of the session. According to an annexure provided by the Haryana Police, a total of 25,631 posts of 84,765 sanctioned and 5,702 non-uniformed have not been filed in the police department. Punjab hikes family health cover to 10 lakh rupees from January. Pearl touches record 1.38 and worth 10 grams rupees. Asian general killed by bomb under his car. Bangladesh shuts consular visa services from its Delhi mission from Dhaka after Hadi, another Bangladesh student, did a shot in head. 8 crore rupees lost in online fraud. Former IPS officer shoots self-critical. Not list how he found duped him had not filed bank offices from Patiala. No reconciliation with Supreme Jagi Courses from Operation SAD Chief's names form are for misgovernance. SAD President Sudhir Singh Badal has suggested that process had suggested that neither Congress nor the art process either the legitimacy or the competence to rule the state or the previous Congress and the present Aam Aadmi Party government have ruined the financial health of Punjab, Sukhbir said on Monday. On the Viksit Bharat Guarantee for Rozgar and Ajivika Mission, Gramin VP G. Ramji, the former deputy CM, raised a Manrega scam perpetrated by both Congress and our government and their leaders in Punjab led to unearthing of crores in corruption, prompting the government to deny the scheme benefits in many districts as well as changing its very character of the scheme. Kong accuses AAP of poll manipulation. Water project stopped from Jalandhar Congress MLA Rana Gurjeet Singh on Monday alleged that work on the 26 crore rupees portable water supply project in the town had been stopped. I got the work started and conducted an inspection on Saturday when the digging work for laying water pipes was underway at full scale. It was stalled the very next day at the behest of our leaders. This is unacceptable. The residents should not suffer due to political bias. Rana shared his statement. Kong accuses of all manipulation from Chandigarh Punjab Congress President Amrinder Singh Rajawadi on Monday slammed the myths about the Zilla Parishad and Block Smiti results being spread by the ruling Aam Aadmi Party and Nationally Kalidan. He said the fact is that while the arm abused power and manipulated the process, it still could not show impressive performance. The SAD show was dismissal and limited to two districts, but in that Naxal, while it drew a complete blank in 10 districts, he added. Called special Gram Sabha session on G. Ramji, Chief Secretary, told from Batinda. Immediately after the presidential assent to the Viksit Bharat Guaranteed for Rozgar and Azivika Mission bill, the Union Ministries for Rural Development and Panchayati Raj jointly brought to the Chief Secretaries of all the states for conducting special Gram Sabha sessions to create widespread awareness regarding the key provisions and legal rights under the VP's Ramji Act by December 26. Commercial complex CIC pulls up ASRMC overreaching records directs Principal Secretary to hold law from Chandigarh, pulling up Nandisar Municipal Corporation over its inability to trace records of prominent commercial complex. The Punjab Chief Information Commissioner issued detailed directions flagging serious concern over record management, enforcement of building bylaws, and accountability under the Right to Information Act 2005. The bench, headed by Chief Information Commissioner Indipal Singh, examined an appeal filed by Artisan seeking information related to a multi-storied commercial complex in Amritsar. The applicant sought details including the ownership of the property, sanctioned building plans, parking provisions, violations from the approved plan, if any, and the action taken thereon during the proceedings. The respondent, Public Information Officer, submitted that in the absence of general registration number, the town planning wing of the Amritsar Municipal Corporation was unable to trace records of the prominent commercial complex. Punjab Police per family health cover to 10 lakh rupees from next month from Chandigarh. Punjab government will soon provide health insurance cover of rupees 10 lakh each family of the state under Mukhyamantri Sehat Bima Yojana. Punjab government led by Chief Minister Shri Bhagwant Singh Maan pays tributes to great citizen Baba Jivan Singh Ji, Bhai Jata Ji, on his martyrdom day on December 23, 2025. Paul bonds scrapped by Supreme Court Trust now swell BJP coffers. Saffron outfit bagged 84% of funds, on 7.3%, and TFC 3.6% in 2024-2025 from New Delhi rather than having an adverse impact on BJP's coffers. Scrapping off electoral bonds in Feb 2024 ended up boosting its donations in 24-25, with electoral trust alone disbursing over rupees 3,577 crore to the party. In 2023-24, BJP's total receipts through voluntary contributions have stood at rupees 3,967 crore, of which rupees 1,686 crore came via bonds and rupees 856 crore through trust. Exinidia was smoke and service food safety regulator from New Delhi. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India has firmly rejected claims linking eggs to men's service, saying those sold in India are safe for consumption and that recent reports and social media posts are scientifically unsupported and alarmist. From March 1, AI to stop non-stop stress and from Bangalore, Air India will discontinue non-stop San Francisco services from Bangalore and Mumbai from March 1, citing aircraft deployment challenges and higher cost due to airspace, triggered confusion and concern among passengers from the two cities who have made booking particularly for travel beyond Feb 28. Wash to Shield IIT develops mosquito repellent detergent from New Delhi. Mosquito bites are often dismissed as minor irritations, yet they remain gateway to some of the world's most persistent diseases. Seeking a dependable layer of protection, researchers at IIT Delhi have turned to an FED house called Essential Laundry Detergent. Center seeks status of civil services board information from Dehradun. Union government has sought an urgent status report from all stages on the constitution of civil services boards more than a decade after the Supreme Court mandated their formation to ensure stability in the posting of civil servants. Department of Personnel and Training under the Union Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions wrote to the states on December 16, asking whether CSVs were constituted in line with Supreme Court's October 31, 2013 order. However, norms are putting nursery admissions at distance from the Delhi as the nursery admissions process in Delhi primary private schools reaches its final stage. The most crucial criteria for selection distance between a child's home and a school has emerged as the biggest source of confusion and concern for many parents. Schools are adopting different methods to calculate this. Some bank on Google Maps, others on state lines. Distance of you go by their designated routes and some even take into account neighborhoods as whole and not individual addresses, thus showing up where it results. Parents argue that these yardsticks create an uneven playing field where a child residing at the same address may score high in one school but significantly lower in another, depending solely on how distance is measured. In most private schools, proximity carries the highest weight in the points-based admission system. By comparison, other criteria such as sibling preference or alumni status match far for fewer marks. Educational Educators argue that distance is a measurable factor based on how far a child house is from the school, whereas the concept of neighborhood reflects a broader locality or zone, so they should not be treated as the same concept. Distance is given greater weight because children should ideally have short commute to their schools within the broad guidelines issued by Directorate of Education. Each school is allowed to frame its own admission metrics and we try to keep ours as simple as possible. We have allotted a maximum of 60 points for the neighborhood or distance criteria, which is calculated using an area street light distance at the principal office South Delhi School. That freedom, however, is at the heart of the problem. The government must clearly announce which method should be followed, said Aparjit Gautam, president of Delhi Parents Association in one city school proximity is linked to transportation distance with children living within 0 to 5 kilometers receiving 70 marks, while those residing farther away are allotted progressively fewer points. Another school has adopted radial distance as the basis, awarding 30 marks for homes within 10 kilometers. Yet another varies on Google Maps, granting up to 40 marks for residences located within a 20-kilometer radius. Parents point out that under the criteria defined by some schools, even children living close by are at times classified as being farther away. There are many schools close to my house, but we are not getting any points in one of them because our colony isn't listed. Uh, Shed Diwali Rena, a parent from Dwarka. In the case of another nearby school, which uses Google Maps, scored well some address completely different results. Many parents list based on colonies are often outdated or arbitrarily drawn, excluding nearby residential pockets. The confusion is compounded in areas where physical distance is short, but transport connectivity is poor. Some colonies lie close to schools, but lack direct bus routes pushing schools that use transport distance to classify them as farther away. Allocating marks based on colonies instead of actual distance can lead to discrimination. There are many cases where schools prefer children from certain areas and exclude others. That possibility cannot be ignored for the child. Ideally, Google Map is a good option. It is practical and transparent. Even today, when EWS admission forms are filled, distance is calculated digitally. The same system should be extended here as well, she said. For now, parents are left navigating a maze of admission criteria, hoping their address fits a school's chosen method while questioning why distance is measured so differently from one school to another. Scientists discovered new wild sponge guard variety in Odisha from Bhubaneswar. Forensic reports clear shine Tom Chaco police to close the case from Kochi. AI flight to Mountbattens to ICIA after Indian failure from New Delhi. Hard time, soft time. Why does time feel different today than it used to? Earlier, we stopped to consume time. Now it feels like it is time that is consuming us. Perhaps the answer lies in thinking about time in a new way. We seem to be experiencing two kinds of time, one hard and one hard, the other soft. Our time is time with a spine. It begins at a time of someone else's choosing, and we are expected to fit inside it. A class flight, a wedding, a live match. We need to be there at the appointed hour, often with other people. Our presence or absence has consequences, and we cannot simply opt out halfway without cost. So time is time that behaves like liquid. You decide when to begin, how long to continue, and when to stop. Nothing is fixed. You can switch on and off as you like. Scrolling on the phone, watching a show on streaming platform, browsing gaming, catching up on messages. You can abandon any of these midway without a second thought. For much of the last century, institutional life controlled a large share of our hard time. Offices, schools, cinema, religious practices, and even news bulletins came with fixed timings and collective rituals. Soft time was what seen around it a lazy afternoon, a book in bed, chatting with friends. Technology has reversed that ratio. Today, an astonishingly large part of our working hours is zone. The smartphone has turned every small gap in the day liquid. Work has become elastic, leisure, granular. Instead of fixed appointments with culture or information, we microdose entertainment and news in short bursts. You can see this at work in cinema. Going to a theater is a classic hard time. The show starts at a fixed hour in a fixed place. You must travel to it, and for 3 hours you are notionally unavailable to the rest of the life. Streaming has allowed the same content to live in soft time, start at 11:13 at night, stop after 17 minutes, resume 3 days later, abandon in the middle. As a result, only a small subset of films now feels worthy of our time. The ones that filled halls promise more than a story, a harsh, high decibel emotion, a sense of spectacular event, a temporary fusion with the crowd. The multiplex audience for such soft films that move to the soft time of OTT platforms, the oil survives only for experiences that justify claims on a hard individual meaning. It is in relationships that the contrast is felt most ac- acutely. Many connections are maintained almost entirely in soft time. A steady drizzle of messages, emojis, reels, shared late night chats. This keeps everyone nominally in touch but does not ask for much. Hard time with another human being has become rarer. An undistracted evening, a visit to a hospital, a long conversation where both phones are out of reach, the hierarchy of who truly matters is increasingly visible not in a who gets contact but in who gets hard time. The loneliness that so often surfaces in modern life may have something to do with balance. It is possible today to be almost permanently surrounded by others in soft time and yet be starved of hard time with anyone. Connection is abundant, commitment of time is scarce. We can maintain the appearance of closeness through constant ambient contact while never actually meeting physically. The phone in hands is among other things a personal aid that can pour soft time into any hard moment that begins to feel too easy. Every relationship becomes permanently interruptible. Underneath all this is a question of control. Hard time is externally controlled time, so time feels like a zone of autonomy. We can start and stop at will, live without embarrassment, and change the mix endlessly for a culture that prizes flexibility and hates missing out of time is educative. It promises that no decision is ever final and every commitment can be undone. Of course, this sense of autonomy is not entirely true, for much of it is controlled by algorithms that are invisible to us. We scroll seemingly of our own vibration, but our feeds come to us from elsewhere, from an authority that knows how to push our buttons. मुंबई में छेड़छाड़ के आरोप में एएसआई गिरफ्तार। मुंबई के इसरो का ब्लू बर्ड 2 सैटेलाइट श्रीहरिकोटा के स्पेस सेंटर से लॉन्च, सतीश धवन स्पेस सेंटर से लॉन्च, 600 किलोग्राम वजनी सबसे बड़ा कम्युनिकेशन सैटेलाइट लॉन्च। मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी के लिए सैटेलाइट, इसरो का ब्लू बर्ड 2 सैटेलाइट लॉन्च। लंदन में पार्टी, साथ देखे भारत के 2 भगोड़े। श्रीहरिकोटा के स्पेस सेंटर से, सतीश धवन स्पेस सेंटर से लॉन्च 601 600 6100 किलोग्राम वजनी सबसे बड़ा मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी सैटेलाइट इसरो का ब्लू बर्ड सैटेलाइट लॉन्च श्रीहरिकोटा के स्पेस सेंटर से लॉन्च Why all objects shatter in same pattern universal law derived by French physicists predict fragment sizes using entropy and portability probability explaining the breaking equation Emmanuel Wilhelmus develops an equation to predict fragment size. A dropped plate, a broken spaghetti, and a smashed drinking glass all seem to follow the same law of physics when it comes to how many fragments of a given size they will shatter into. Louder than jet engines, how snapping shrimps disrupt undersea studies. When asked which is the loudest animal in the ocean, most people would guess it's whale. Maybe a sperm whale, which clicks at an ear-rattling 230 decibels, or a blue whale whose deep calls can travel thousands of miles, but the real noisemaker isn't a hucking bass. It is a type of tiny claw-snapping shrimps. 6100 किलोग्राम सैटेलाइट लॉन्च सबसे बड़ा कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर लॉन्च मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी के लिए सैटेलाइट दो पक्षों में झड़प हालात बेकाबू जबरदस्त तनाव अशांत हुआ आसाम कारगिल आंदोलन में रात का कर्फ्यू भीड़ पर काबू पाने के लिए पुलिस का लाठीचार्ज उग्र भीड़ पर आंसू गैस अतिक्रमण हटाने के लिए प्रोफेशनल ग्रेजिंग रिजर्व और विलेज ग्रेजिंग मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी के लिए सैटेलाइट लॉन्च DUVC gets additional charge of AICTE chairman from New Delhi. Delhi University Vice Chancellor was appointed and trusted with additional charge of chairman post for all Indian Council of Technical Education. A vision set former AICTI chairman T.G. Sitaram's term ended on December 20, according to data issued by the Ministry of Education. Ayurvedic institutions can strengthen health vision, Minister says from New Delhi. Institutions of traditional systems of medicine such as Ayurveda working together with modern medicine can play an important role in strengthening India's health vision, Union Ayush Minister Pratap Rao Jadhav said. He said this at the Padam Bhushan Dr. P.K. Memorial Ayurveda Seminar event at the India International Center Delhi. Ministry of Ayush is continuously striving to ensure that all traditional systems of medicine, including Ayurveda, work together with modern medicine to play a significant role in realizing the vision of a Swasth Bharat, healthy India, the minister said in a virtual message. The seminar was organized by Kerala-based Kotkal Arya Vidya Sala. This was the first time in 62-year history of the event that it was held outside Kerala. Arya Vidya Sala is a healthcare center providing devices under the traditional system, including research and animation for over 125 years. Jadhav said the contribution of Arya Vidya Sala to improving India's healthcare system is extremely inspiring. The institution has been preserving and promoting ancient Ayurvedic knowledge while integrating it with modern scientific approaches, enhancing the global prestige of India's traditional medicine system. Its efforts in providing accessible, safe, and effective Ayurvedic health care services to the public have been commendable. The administration, Dr. PM Maria's managing and Chief Physician Kotkal Aryavedya said this is the first time in 62 years we have brought out Ayurveda seminar out of Kerala to Delhi, the capital of India, to send a message of unity among the Ayurvedic fraternity of North and South. North or South, Ayurveda is one. We must join hands for the growth, glory and modernization of Ayurveda, ensuring the roots of tradition with science reach every human being. He said, Ayurveda Sala CEO K. Harit Kumar Institution's charitable hospital has treated over 20 million patients in the last 10 years, providing free treatment, meals, accommodation, and medicine. We treat more than 181 lakh patients with every year across India. High Court says Gandhi's reply on ED plea against trial court. Order in National Herald case from New Delhi. The Delhi High Court on Monday asked Congress leaders Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and others to respond to a plea by the Enforcement Directorate challenging the order of the trial court that refused to take cognizance of its charge sheet against them in the National Herald case. Justice Ravinder today issued notice to the Gandhijis and others from the main petition as well as on the ED's application seeking stay on the dash number 16 and court order which held that cognizance of the agency's complaint in the case was impermissible in law as it was not founded on an FIR. The High Court listed the matter for further hearing on March 12, 2026. Besides Gandhis, the High Court issued notices to Saman Dubey from tribal leaders showed that in Jharkhand, Kundi from Kunti, Nada says insider role in 13 Maoist attacks Turkish Hong at Janadesh, Bharat to celebrate 2 years of BJP government in Chhattisgarh from Janjgiri. In a sharp attack on Congress, BJP President JP Nadda on Monday alleged that some insiders in the party were involved in facilitating the 2013 Dhiram Ghati Maoist attack, which led to the killing of street Congress leaders. DRDO RRU to tie up for boosting defense internal security from New Delhi. Defense Research and Development Organization and Rashtriya Raksha University on Monday signed a memorandum of understanding to foster collaboration in areas of research, education, training and technology support for boosting defense and internal security. The MOU was led by PZ Production, Coordination and Services Interaction, Jadhav Tips, Jadhav Tips, Babuta to train and strengthen air rifle world from Bhopal. No jacket required for every as Villa dream of titles. Assistant Villa Manager Ayune Umar named of his jacket with David McCall from Birmingham. Spends 25 escorting entry from and rankings from Zurich. MC Tulum Mrs. Hurricane England coach from London. Liverpool fear shark and suffered broken leg. Claim reports from London. Don't know why we keep dropping catches. Harman says from Visakhapatnam. Finally, Sanju's moment of clarity. Hardik hits top gear from Mumbai. Fake job bracket busted in Balia for arrested from Varnashi man pushes women from running location train in Mumbai. Must prepare for short long duration wash radiations from Mumbai, IF tariffs, tigers from Science Reserve to Ramgarh, Vishdhari from Bhopal. Find their voice in cyberspace. When the pandemic hit, a generation simmered with anger. Faith and ambition but emerged were voices about struggle, caste, gender, pride, identity and family, especially in Gujarati, Hindi, Kutchi and English. Now these young artists are making themselves heard on the internet. There is movement in 2019 that I see Basuraman still remembers with absolute clarity. The young rappers was at a protest in Rajkot and his songs were blasting from speakers nearby. A police officer confronted the crowd and asked, "Who sang this?" I said, "I did. Vasudhavan, because they detained me for one night." The 29-year-old didn't stop making music after that night. That experience changed his approach. The defense stayed, but the delivery softened. It is typical of Gujarat's version of rage. This is not Mumbai's gully rap story. It is not Delhi's battle culture. Gujarat built its own sound, one that mixes devotion and protest, folk melodies and modern beats, small town, isolation and viral reach. Cable TV did the fuse. Devotion meets best jobs, building community. The girls have arrived. शरद पवार के एनसीपी भी उभरा सीट शेयरिंग का फाइनल फार्मूला तैयार सबसे बड़ा कम्युनिकेशन सेंटर मोबाइल कनेक्टिविटी के लिए सैटेलाइट एक नाथ सिंधे बोले ये सिर्फ भारत भारतीय अंतरिक्ष इतिहास में गौरवशाली रिकॉर्ड युवराज साथ साथ बीएमसी में डबल धमाल वर्ल्ड श्रीहरिकोटा के स्पेस सेंटर से लॉन्च सैटेलाइट सतीश धवन स्पेस सेंटर से लॉन्च शरद पवार के एनसीपी भी उदयराज के साथ इसरो प्रमुख 6100 केजी वजनी सबसे बड़ा कम्युनिकेशन सैटेलाइट लॉन्च हनुमान द एपिटोम ऑफ आइडियल सर्विस in life it is almost impossible for anyone to remain entirely free from blemish. Criticism and accusations touch everyone. No one escapes them. Ram and Sita were not spared. They were unfairly blamed and criticized. Yet in the entire Ramayana, there stands one character who remained untouched by fault. Beyond all criticism, Hanuman, he embodies wisdom, devotion, and selfless service. This noble son of Vayu Anjana is adorned with countless virtues. It is easy to recognize the importance of the sun as it is unavailable at night. However, the wind is with us 24 hours a day. It exists within us as vital air prana, and without it, we would not survive externally. The wind blows constantly, acting a powerful purifier. It serves as quietly without any pomp or show, which is why we often take its existence for granted. Our Kumar Hanuman inherited this rare ability to serve all from his celestial father. He crossed the ocean, entered formidable Lanka, discovered Sita, burnt Lanka, and destroyed Ravana's demons, all with deep devotion and absolute humility. Rama was overwhelmed by Hanuman's service, filled with love and gratitude. He praised Hanuman openly, but on hearing his own glory described, Hanuman, the ideal devotee, fell at his feet, tears in his eyes, attributing every success to the Lord alone. We are advised to emulate this spirit of serving our Master with unwavering faith and devotion, but often we fail to ask who is the true Master, only the one who reasons as the Lord of the universe, and in serving whom our inherent divinity comes to shine forth. He alone can be he alone can be master. Hanuman's life vividly reveals this truth. Before meeting Ram, Hanuman served Sugriv, but his immense powers remained dormant. Sugriv could not awake them. He himself lived in fear of his brother Vali and relied on Hanuman for protection. Such a person would never believe that true master of anyone. It was Ram alone who, by his grace, brought Hanuman living witness to full explanation. The moment Hanuman saw Ram, he recognized his true master immediately. From that instant, he became Ram's devoted servant and inspired Sugriv to do the same. As soon as Sugriv secured at the lotus feet of the Lord, blessings flowed and fruits of devotion were hid in Lanka once. Lankini and Vibhishan served Ravan out of a misplaced sense of duty. They believed loyalty to their king. However, wicked was righteousness, and one awakened them to their error. Once they understood they to turn to Ram, thus neither a fearful weakling like Sugriva nor powerful tyrant like Ravan can ever be a true master. Only Ram can. His greatness lies not in ruling over beings, but in uplifting his devotees and making them shine greater than him. May our lives be touched by these same grace. Walk the walk we never stop learning how to take things in our stride. Simply, problematic government should rethink idea that system binding will block cyber fraud, biggest impact will be consumer inconvenience. Did Macaulay alienate India's did Macaulay alienate Indians from their roots? No, no, no. He succeeded in his narrow goal of building a clerical class for colonizers. But education in Indian languages continue to thrive as did criticism of British for building Enlightenment values. English colonizer introduction of English education in India following the promulgation of Macaulay's 1835 minutes is one it was again in the eyes of the storm. The minutes have often been blamed for dissociating Indians from their cultural roots, where Modi has also made his claim a widely circulated public speech. To the extent his minutes are considered responsible for creating circumstances in which the native gradually became blind imitators of the British. Socio-cultural ethos, T.B. Macaulay is now regarded as a villain in history, but this is an oversimplification of India's colonial history, which was rooted in a program for systematic exploitation made to consolidate British rule, the 1909 Parliamentary Reform. For instance, for a response to the increasingly hostile nature of the nationalist campaign led by Congress's Lal Walpal, Prem Barat, and Aurobindo Ghosh, likewise Macaulay minutes were basically designed to prepare Indians to help the British rule India per the colonizers' priorities. These opened the door for the rule to become part of the administration, and many Indians celebrated. One of the first Indian civil service officer was Satyendranath Tagore, elder brother of Rabindranath Tagore. In this sense, it is misleading to argue that minutes took Indians away from their roots. Furthermore, the continuity of alternative education left enormous opportunities for Indians to be educated in the language of their choice. For example, Devendranath Tagore founded Tattvabodhini Pathshala in 1840 to provide an indigenous alternative to English education under Akshay Kumar Dattal 1820 to 1886 that lays Pathshala emphasized a Bengali language curriculum promoting a rational and scientific outlook while remaining Rooted in Indian culture, here English was taught as a language with the belief that it would empower learners to become acquainted with the values of enlightenment and champion humanism. It's no exaggeration that many Indian intellectuals hailed the arrival of the British because they were convinced that by demolishing feudal rule in it heralded a new era in India. GLP-1 does a fat lot of good. Our national love language is food. Our cities discourage walking. So most of us are portly but best steady. Weight loss infections can help us only so much. Indians wouldn't slim down unless they learn discipline and religious. Food regulator has to do more to counter alarmist and dangerously false claim by food influencers. Canada Dreams policy shift leaves Punjab-based workers on the edge from Bathinda, facing the heat over changes in immigration and permanent residency policies in Canada. A number of international students, work permit holders, and skilled workers, mainly of Punjab origin, assembled in Brampton, Ontario on Sunday to raise concerns about this policy. The impact of recent immigration policy shift, including Bill C-12 and changes such as the return of the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program application, was discussed at the gathering. These decisions are affecting many lives and creating uncertainty for individuals, families, and communities across Canada. Bill C-12 aims to enhance border security, combat organized crime, and improve immigration or asylum system efficiency, including new powers to pause applications or suspend documents during emergencies. High Court grants bail to SAD's Bobby Mark. Class 9 boy dies in road accident from Firozpur, Punjab, and forces safe school vehicle policy during fog from Chandigarh. Deaths fall likely in Punjab till December 27th in Patiala. One injured in firing and students flash from Amritsar. Wishing salutes government sets up SIT SGBC alleges interference from Amritsar. Amritsar MC directs survey to shipment stops following city declaration. Son gets life term for mom's murder. Nissan, two farmers acquitted in 8-year-old case from Nissan farmer dies of gunshot injury. Kong MLA stage walkouts, heated debates mark conclusions of session from Chandigarh. Panel to prop Kong MLA over remarks against overvaluation from Chandigarh. State government says no paper leak proven at FPSC level from Chandigarh. The Haryana government on Monday informed the State Assembly that no case of examination paper leak was conclusively proved at the level of the Haryana Punjab Service Commission from 2014 to 24-25. However, multiple examinations conducted by the Haryana Staff Nursing Commission were cancelled after finding leak. Question papers were suspected, leading to the registration of 29 FIRs against private individuals. Sirsa police team detailed branch 6 lakh rupees she suspended about a week ago. The Sirsa Cyber Police Station registered a fraud case in which around rupees 9.30 lakh was transferred from the complaints account to a person based in Udaipur from Nissan. Over 23K police post vacant in Haryana, shortage of 2,442 clerical staff. Sensex rallies 638 PTS on foreign fund inflows from global trades. New insurance rules open fresh merger. Listing rules. UK paints to acquire 14.5%, more stake in burger paints. FMCG calls high single digit growth. भाइयों और बहनों, once home to Binaka Geek Mala Radio Cyclone Turn 100. It was on Radio Cyclone that for almost 4 decades, once every week at 8 p.m. sharp, thousands of Indians turned in to listen to the iconic voice of Amin Saini from Colombo, Sri Lankan radio service that was once popular across India as just Radio Cyclone and popularized Binaka Geet Mala, one of its kind weekly countdown show of Hindi film songs turned 100 this week. Sri Lankan radio service was officially launched on December 16, 1925. It was the first commercial shortwave station in Asia according to government records. The National Radio boasts the largest library of recorded songs in Asia, including many Hindi song records not found in India and a unique collection of world leaders' voice recordings and a statement from SNBC when it marked the centenary. Originally part of the Department of Telecommunication, the radio service was organized on October 1, 1949 as Radio Cyclone, and on Jan 5, 1967 re-christened as Sri Lanka Radio Cyclone that for almost 4 decades, once every week exactly at 8 p.m. sharp. Thousands of Indians turned it to listen to the iconic voice of Amin Saini. Saini's Brighton, Bhaiyo, Bhaiyo और बहनों, liberated across the Indian Hindi film music crazy subcontinent, sending excitement among millions of his listeners about which songs will be featured in that day's listing. Iran says missile program defense no negotiable from Tehran. Ramaswamy faces MACI for defending Indians views are from Washington. Trump administration removes nearly 30 career diplomats from ambassadorial position. Ambassadors serve at the pleasure of the president, although they typically remain at their post for 3 to 4 years from Washington. The Trump administration is recalling nearly 30 career diplomats from ambassadorial and other senior embassy posts as moves to reshape the U.S. diplomatic posture abroad with personal deal fully supportive of President Donald Trump's America First priorities. The chiefs of mission in at least 29 countries were informed last week that their tenures would end in January, according to two State Department officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal personal moves. All of them had taken up their post in the Biden administration but had survived an initial purge in the early months of Trump's second term that targeted mainly political appointees that changed on Wednesday when they began to receive notices from officials in Washington about their imminent departures. Ambassadors serve at the pleasure of the president, although they typically remain at their post for 3 to 4 years. Those affected by the shake-up are not losing their foreign service jobs but will be returning to Washington for other assignments should they wish to take them, the officials said. The State Department declined to comment on specific numbers or ambassadors affected but defended the changing, calling them a standard process in any administration. It noted that an ambassador is a personal representative of the president. It is the president's right to ensure that he has individuals in these countries who advance the America First agenda. America is the continent most affected by the removals, with ambassadors from 13 countries being removed: Burundi, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Madagascar, Mauritius, Nigeria, Rwanda, Senegal, Somalia, and Uganda. Second is Asia, with ambassadorial changes coming to six countries: Fiji, Laos, the Marshall Islands, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, the Vietnam of active. Four countries in Europe: Armenia, Macedonia, Montenegro, and Slovakia are affected, as are two each in the Middle East: Algeria and Egypt, South and Central Asia, Nepal and Sri Lanka, and the Western Hemisphere, Guatemala and Suriname. Politico was the first to report on the ambassadorial records, which have drawn concerns from lawmakers and the union representing American diplomats. DOJ restores strong photo to public database of state files from New York. A photo of US President Donald Trump that had been removed from the cache of Jeffrey Epstein files released by the Department of Justice was restored on Sunday after officials determined none of the Epstein's victims were in the image the department shared. EU slams China daily duties as unjustified from Beijing. Bus crash in Indonesia kills at least 16 people from Jakarta. Israel demolishes residential building in East Jerusalem. News from Jerusalem. No specific information on prime suspect on Hadi's killing, police says from Dhaka. Russian gen killed Russian general killed in car bombing, Sweden renders national service must prevent such cases, Putin says from Iblis. A senior Russian general was killed Monday in Moscow after a bomb placed under his car exploded. The country's investigative committee said in a statement it what appears to be the latest high-profile assassination of general inside Russia. The statement identified the officer as Lieutenant General Fenail Sarvayev, who served as the head of the Russian General Staff's Army Operational Training Directorate. Directorate investigators said they were looking into whether the bombing had been orchestrated by the Ukrainian intelligence services and that they had opened a criminal investigation. The Security Service of Ukraine, known as the SBU, had no immediate comment on the bombing. Images from the scene showed several damaged cars ordered off by police officers and investigators. The explosion occurred early in the morning in a middle-class residential district in the south of Moscow. Since the Kremlin invasion of Ukraine 2022, several senior Russian army commanders have been killed in targeted assassinations claimed by the Ukrainian special services, while many top Russian officers were killed on the battlefield early in the war during a failed attempt at a quick victory. The past 2 years have seen a shift towards targeted assassination inside Russia. In April, Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik, the deputy head of the main operational department of the general staff, was killed after a car bomb went off in December 2024. No specific information on crime suspect in Hadi's killing police. 100 kilogram 100 days to peace journey at 1.5 kilometers on a bicycle from Bathinda. Nagar Kirtan Road. Vigilant MPs back six Abbott pastors Christian National claim. We stand with you as Sikhs, but also as New Zealanders. New Zealand MP Orlini Kapara, while sharing a Facebook post of Auckland-based academic Dr. Harpreet Singh post wrote on her FB Facebook wall. Thank you for your understanding and compassion for us because in the actions of one man and those who trust and believe in him. Dr. Harpreet Singh in his post with a Sikh flag wrote, these actions were carried out by one man and those who choose to follow him, people who have hijacked the culture and an identity to spread hate. The responsibility lies with them alone and my community sees it the same way. Thank you to everyone who has supported us. We stand with you as Sikhs but also as New Zealanders from Jalandhar. Though Pentecostal pastor Brian Tamaki, who heads the Destiny Church and whose supporters confronted the Nagar Kirtan in a suburb in South Auckland, New Zealand on Saturday, declared New Zealand is a Christian nation. Our God is Jesus Christ. The census of the New Zealand in 2023 reflected that most of the Christian denomination registered are decreasing trend as more than 50% of New Zealanders declare themselves as having no religion, meanwhile Sikhs are around 1% of the New Zealand population. While confronting the Narukirtan, the protesters, a few dozens of them, also raised slogans like One True God and This is Jesus. Out of the total for 93923 population, 2576049 declared that they had no religion. The census data revealed that no religion was the increasing trend, while Christian denominations reflected the decreasing trend. The number of such New Zealanders with no religion was 1635348 in 2013 and 2264601 in 2018. Numbers of the Pentecostal denomination was 2263 in 2018 and fell down to 19,245 in 2023, which is just 0.320% of the total New Zealand population. Other denominations like Anglican, Catholicism, Methodist, Baptist, and Presbyterians are also registered significant decreases in their numbers. Computing together the number of all Christian denominations rotated 7, 15, 7, 2, 2, 14.33%, 6 were in 19,191 in 2013, doubled in the next 5 years to 40,908 in 2018, and by 2023 they were 53,406, 1.07%. Similarly, the Hindu population also grew from 89,085 in 2023 to 121,644 in 2018 and 142,008 in 2023. However, it is possible that all of them might not be of Indian origin as most of them migrated from Fiji also. Numbers of Buddhists and Muslims also registered steady growth. While numbers of Pentecostal and other Christian denominations are decreasing in New Zealand, in Punjab, there has been phenomenal growth in numbers of holders of Pentecost Christian passport in the last 2 years. Meanwhile, New Zealand MPs criticized the protest ahead of the Nagar Kirtan. MP Priyanka Radha Krishnan also posted her criticism of Brian Tamaki and his supporters' actions. The Sikhs, for example, have been here since the late 80s, so it's pretty ridiculous that one man and his band of followers think they can dictate who is or who isn't Kiwi and what is or what is not the Kiwi way of life, she said. MP Marama Davidson also expressed expressed solidarity with Sikhs, that self-proclaimed pastor in seeking out against the used for racism and bigotry rewards people who are just trying to survive like the rest of us is not of us as Kankata Vainu. Our liberation as Kankata Vainu did just to reject the colonial project of pitting people against each other. G. Ramji BJP accuses number of knocking faith from Srinagar. Such operation extends for terrorist hiding for forest belt of JNT Udhampur from Jammu. Terrorism in site of guns. JNK Police Chief Amit Katiyal gets 8 weeks interim bail in home by a fraud case from Chandigarh. Suffering from chronic ailments, seeking bail on medical grounds, Katiyal submitted that he was suffering from chronic and serious ailments and had repeatedly been had to be a sick and informed person by competent courts. The ED, however, strongly objected to the bail, submitting that adequate medical facilities had been provided to the accused as per the jail manual. After hearing all the parties, the Crown Court granted Kandyal 8 weeks interim bail, observing that